Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. And wow, it's been a while since I filmed. I mean, only like 5 days, but for me that's a really long time. And like, I don't know about you guys if you're a booktuber as well, but do you like feel like you for a minute kind of forget what the fuck you're doing when you sit back down? Like I'm just saying. So a couple things, and then I promise I won't be bitching, and we'll get into the purpose of this video, which I'm very excited to do. I put a poll up on my Instagram today because I haven't been filming, but I have been coming up with ideas and kind of prepping so that when I finally had time I could film, but then I couldn't decide which video to do. So I put up a poll that was between the recent historical romance recs, because I've been reading a lot of those, a lot of really good ones, and then a book boyfriend update. And I had a feeling people would pick that because people want to know that. I understand. I did one of these actually back in like, I think I did it back in like beginning of June. It wasn't that long ago, but I've had some serious updates to it, and I just thought it would be fun because who doesn't want to know who people's book boyfriends are? As I will have said in the beginning of that video, which I will tag up here, there are a couple that you won't see on here. Well, and also because I've made this video before, so there's ones, but I always share this with everyone because people who know the books that I like, but apparently don't watch all my videos, which is okay, I'm just saying, will be like, oh, why wasn't this person on your list? And it's like, because they probably were. And those two are Jamie Fraser from Outlander. He is my book husband. He has husband status. He does not have boyfriend status. He is husband status, which means anybody on this list, he trumps them. Hands down. Jamie and me for life. That's it. And then Tristan from The Takeover is my book fiance. He's at fiance level, so not quite at the husband level, and he probably won't ever just because Jamie Fraser, but he also is above all of these. Okay, so those two, they always go on here. I always tell people, but again, you can check out part 1 if you want to see that. Now, the other way that I do book boyfriends, and again, I'm sorry if this is redundant if you've seen it, but I'm unique and a little bit nutty, okay? So this is how we do this, is that when they're on a book boyfriend list, it means that I would want to take them home to mama. That's what it means, okay? I've also done anti-book boyfriends, which I have done before, and that's where you're going to see most of the dark romance men, who I think they're sexy and I want them, but I don't actually want to date them or bring them home to mama because my mama would slap me, and also I'm a bit scared of them. So there are a couple darker men on here you'll see, but I have my reasons for why they're on here. But otherwise, we're gonna get started with this, okay? It's been a week, you guys. I know I put it on Instagram, but it's been a week, and like, I know this is clashing, it's a thing, but I don't care today. I didn't want to take my work stuff off, and the floofy fuzzies around my hair are driving me bananas. So we're getting this. We're getting this beautiful flower shirt and then my Galaxy headband because I just accessorized so well. Anyway, it probably doesn't bug you guys, but it bugs me. So let's go ahead and dive into these book boyfriends that I would want to bring home to mama, that my mama would mostly approve of. Here we go. So, oh my gosh, we're going in kind of chronological order of when I've read them recently. So I have to, of course, have Kier from The Devil in Disguise. This book is one of the most romantic books I've read. For sure this year, it is definitely at the top. Kier is Scottish, and he is feisty and bold and loud, but he's also a working man, and he's just trying to get his whiskey into port and get it delivered where it needs to go. And then Merritt, who is a widow who's running her husband's company, she has to kind of deal with him after some of his shipment gets lost, and he's just ready to let someone have it. And then he sees Merritt, who has reasonable explanations for everything. He's willing to help and accommodate him, and he's just kind of taken off his feet by her. But this man is head over heels from this woman from the first scene. And this book, if you like small, soft, not just soft, but like small little touches and gestures that help build your romance, this man is for you. Okay, this romance is for you. it is a romance that I'm telling you, it is not going to be as satisfying if you haven't read The Wallflowers and the Ravenels, at least. Like, it won't be as satisfying, but it's going to be good, okay? It's going to be good. And either way, even if you didn't have that, because there are some people who are like, I didn't read any of them and I still loved it. I'm like, that's great. I just know that if you are a historical romance lover who is willing to binge some books to get to make this book better, that's a thing. And Kier, he is, he's so humble, and he is kind, even though he is tough and strong and fierce. And he's smart and clever, and he's willing to admit when he's wrong. And I just have all the fuzzy feelings for him. And so he is moved on to the book boyfriends of Memoriam of the book Refuge. So there we go. The next person, and this is another Scot, okay? There's no surprise. I have a thing for Scots, okay? Who's my book husband, as we've established. I have a thing for the Scot. And so next I have Graham from Never Seduce a Scot. What else is there to say? I mean, there's stuff to say, but this man, okay? I adore him so much. I actually read this book like over the 4th of July. I listened to it on my drive to family camp with my friends and family for a couple days, and I was crying and laughing, and I was squealing, and I was angry. This book brings so many emotions, but I love Graham so much. He is, I think it's Graham Montgomery. He is the laird. The king is making him marry an Armstrong girl, a girl who he believes is touched in the head, but he meets her and she's just so sweet and such a kind soul, and he can tell. And so he's going to protect this woman. And even if that means giving up his dreams of a family and children, because he isn't going to, you know, take advantage of this tender soul who he, you know, may think is touched in the head. And he has all those plans set out, and he's going to be a warm and supportive husband for her, even if, and thinking that there'll never be anything physical between them, and that this is a burden, and that he's basically becoming a caretaker. Like, those are what he's thinking. And I just feel like no one is rewarded with such a kind, like, beautiful, wonderful woman with Eveline but Graham. You know, like, she is perfectly given into his hands. You know, when he meets her, he sees the good in her, and he's like, you know what, we might be forced into this situation, but I'm going to treat you with the dignity you deserve and the respect you deserve. And, you know, when situations arise where people under his protection are mean to her, which just break my heart, because Eveline just wants them to love her, right? Like, she wants to be a good mistress of the keep, and they just will not have it. You know, they just will not have it. And he always stands up for her, and he tells them all to fuck off. He's like, I don't care if you're my people. This is my wife, and if you can't respect her and accept that she's my wife, then you don't belong in this keep. And oh, I love it so much. So Graham, I think, would be wonderful to take home to mama. All right, then we have Canon from Real by Kennedy Ryan. And I have to say, I was even a little surprised that I put him on here. So, and here's my reasons, because he definitely, this is an alpha man. Okay, this is an alpha boy, okay? He is a film director. He has seen the seedier sides of Hollywood. He has seen loss. He has seen heartbreak. And he has seen success. And for the most part, he has stayed very grounded with who he is. And when he meets Neva, who is going to be the new starlet on the new star of this biopic that he's doing, he knows he's in trouble, because he wants that girl. He wants her real bad. And I love seeing how tough he fights to keep her professional and to not be forcing himself on someone. But when it becomes clear that the attraction is a two-way street, he's like, oh no. Okay, well, we need to put a time on it. Like, we will give ourselves to this time. And then that just doesn't work, because the feelings are too strong. I don't want to spoil this book, but a lot of the reasons why I love Canon so much are, the way that he puts Neva first, the way that he puts their love in priority, the way that he is steadfast and true and will not let her hide from him, even when there's some very ugly, painful things that happen in this book. He is like, I'm not going to shy away from this. I'm not going to run. I'm going to be here for you. And so, yeah, when I was putting this list together, I was like, that's the kind of relationship that I want. That it's not just about when we are pretty and sexy, but it's about the ugly parts too. And please look up the trigger warnings for this book, particularly if you're sensitive to illness, because this book will break your heart, but it's an HEA, I promise. Then we have Alex from Annie's Song. And man, part of the reason I wanted to make an addition to this list, which, I mean, I would probably have done it at the end of the year for sure to like update, but when I read this book, Annie's Song by Katherine Anderson, I knew Alex was on this list. He even was nudging towards a book fiance. That's how much I love him, okay? This book, I've talked about it a lot recently, and it's crazy to me too because Never Seduce Scot really like parallels this book in my mind, because it is about another young woman who is deaf but is thought to be touched in the head. And because Annie's injury, like Annie's, like she had an illness and then like it made her deaf, happened when she was so young, her development is a lot more stunted than like Eveline's was, you know, because Eveline, what happened to her happened when she was a teenager. And so, you know, she still knew how to get by a lot better. Whereas Annie, it happened when she was a child. And then because her family thought she was stunted, they literally have kept her away from everyone. They're afraid of being embarrassed. They're afraid of what might happen. And in doing so, in letting her just kind of run around and do what she wants, they've left her very vulnerable. And so when our story begins, Annie gets assaulted by a shit stain called Douglas, and his older brother, who basically raised him, is disgusted and cannot believe that the boy he raised, his younger brother, would do something so despicable. And so he does what an honorable man would do, even more so than what an honorable man would do. He offers for Annie to be her husband and to raise any child that might have come from this assault. Now, her family's very resistant against him taking her to his home and taking care of her and getting a nurse for her until the child would be born. And it turns out to be the best thing that's ever happened to Annie, because Alex, he has a hunch that she's not as crazy or as mentally diminished as they think. And being in his home where there is no fear and there's no punishments for the way that she would act or the things she would do, she just blossoms. And seriously, like, there's so many scenes. Most of this book is from Alex's point of view. We do get some of Annie's, but a lot of this is from Alex's point of view. And in everything he does in his interactions with Annie, he wants to open the world for this woman, whether that means buying her every instrument in a catalog so that she can feel music, because she can hear certain tones and she can feel the vibrations. And even though the sounds of it are horrible and the staff like wears earplugs whenever she goes in there, or if it means getting her clothes that are meant for her womanly form, or if it means patiently, you know, learning sign language so she can communicate and bring herself up to the level of education that she should be at as a woman of 20. It is all with Annie's best interest in mind. And even when he starts to feel sexual feelings for her, which does happen because she isn't of a diminished capacity and she's a beautiful woman who's only blossoming more and more with her pregnancy, he wants to make absolutely sure that she understands what's going on this time and doesn't want her to be afraid by the memories of his, again, shit stain of a brother. And it is so beautiful, all the ways that he opens the world for Annie. And it just, I could work myself to tears about it right now. Alex is amazing. All right, now we have a twist for this list. And again, this is one of the ones I probably wouldn't actually bring this person home to mama because they're a different species than me. But he definitely fits in the more cinnamon rolly, like, boyfriend level. He's not on like an anti-book boyfriend. And that is actually Katan from the Spider's Mate trilogy by Tiffany Roberts. The first book being Enthralled, the second book being Entangled. Or no, the first one's Ensnared, the second one's Entangled, and the third, Enthralled. I'm getting confused. There's Ease. The last one's going to be called, like, what's the last one supposed to be called? I can't even remember. Anyway, here's some pictures. Okay, point being, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Okay. I love the first book, Ensnared, because it reminds me of we have a communication barrier. We have a little bit of, you know, kind of the Ice Pan Barbarian thing of, like, one of the, you know, he finds her when she is, like, her spaceship has crash landed on his planet, and he's kind of a lone creature because of things that are happening within his, like, species and everything. And he knows that she's his mate, and so he brings her back to his home and cares for her, and eventually they're able to communicate through learning each other's languages, and things go from there. And this is another case of, like, so much caretaking. I love kind of the survival aspect of it, of the the communication barrier, not necessarily miscommunication, but there is some of that too. And just the way that, obviously, our heroine, I think Ivy, I think her name is Ivy, is absolutely terrified of this being who looks like a spider. He gets very angry when she calls him a spider because he's like, I'm not a spider. I forgot what the name of their breed is or whatever. But it works. And there's also, he has webs that he can use as sharabi ropes. And it's very sexy. And I liked it. And also, he calls her his heart's thread and his heart's mate. And he is so enamored with his beautiful, sweet human that I don't care. He is a book boyfriend. And if he didn't look like a scary Spider-Man, I would bring him home to mama. Okay? I'm just saying. My mom's open-minded. I'm sure it'd be fine. Maybe? Okay. All right. Then I actually have Henry from Confessions of a Dangerous Lord by Elisa Braden. And I just really love this. This is probably my favorite one in the series, if not, like, tied. This is from Rescued from Ruin series. And I love this one because it starts as a friends to lovers. And there are not many historicals that start as friends to lovers. They're usually brother's best friend or, like, father's friend or something like that. And this one, these two, I think this heroine's name is Maureen. I think this is Maureen Huxley. And they've been friends for a while. Like, they clearly have a rapport, and she wants there to be more. He wants there to be more too. Unbeknownst to her, her family has warned him away because he actually has a secret job that is very dangerous, and we've seen him be in dangerous places before in previous books. And so her family, they know these two have a connection, and they're like, we don't want you with our daughter, with our sister, while you still have this job. And so he's agreed to that, and he lets friendship be what they have. Until Maureen decides that she wants to get married and have a baby. And if she keeps waiting around hoping for something to happen with Henry, we can't do that. And the reason that Henry's on the book boyfriend list is because, number one, he always does plan to have something with Maureen, but he's trying to wrap up what's happening with his job first before he does that. And when she announces to him that she's going to start making it known she wants to marry, he stops everything in its tracks. He's like, hey, I gotta wrap this all up right now because I can't have this woman of my dreams, my best friend, be married to someone else when I want her. And I love this specifically because I've seen this scenario before in a way, right? Where they're friends or acquaintances, or maybe it is a brother's best friend scenario where the hero isn't interested until the heroine's interested in someone else, right? And I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm not a thing of like, oh, you were here all along. Like, sometimes they work for me, sometimes. But usually it doesn't work for me because I'm like, oh, because there's now competition, now you're interested, which may or may not be how men's brains actually work. That's not the point. This is my opinions. What I love is that Henry did always want her, but he was trying to be respectful to her family because he, you know, he's been friends with them for so long, and he's been trying to do it the right way, and then he might lose her. You know, he can't keep her waiting anymore. And so it just accelerates a timeline that was already in place. And the way that he just stakes his claim and he's like, no, Maureen, you are not going to have anyone else but me. And I'm sorry that I can't tell you everything, but we're doing it. And the other thing that I like, sorry that I'm pointing, wagging a finger, is that this isn't a case of our hero just being like, oh, I'm too dangerous for you, okay? All of her family feels that way, and he also knows that there are people in his past that would take an interest to whoever he would decide to marry so that they could make his life hell. So this isn't an idle threat. Like, there is danger that plot reason will come into place. So I also love that, because this wasn't a case of, oh, the hero thinks it's too dangerous, but really it's not. Like, we know what the danger is to Maureen if he does this. So I really liked Henry. I wanted to put someone from one of Elisa Braden's heroes on here. And when I looked through the list, like, he's the one that I just felt really steady about. How do I say it? Just like, he's consistent character. He doesn't do, you know, like, any miscommunications are literally because he's doing it for her safety. And also, it's not like a made up threat. It is real. There are people trying to hurt them. So yeah, Henry, I would totally bring home to mama. Then I want to mention someone who, like, there's a lot of historical heroes on this one. I think it's funny. I just love them the most. Also, most of the contemporary I read are dark romance, and as I've said, they're the anti-book boyfriends. I recently read this book, and it is a classic. A lot of people love it. Not like a classic, but like a historical romance classic. And the heroine I despised. And so I actually gave this book a pretty low rating because I could not forgive the heroine for how she treated our hero. However, this hero just shooketh me. And the way that he has to overcome so much, and the way that he grows and changes, and also the way that he loves the heroine, even though, again, I don't think she deserves it. And that's actually Christian from Flowers from the Storm by Laura Kinsale. So I only read this book like 2 weeks ago. I'm still in kind of a historical binge, but I was really in a historical binge. And this was one that I missed out on reading it when one of my friends' book clubs did it. But I had it saved and like ready to go. And it also has a super long audiobook. This book, I don't have it by me, it is over 500 pages, and the audiobook is like 14 hours, which is a lot for historical romance, and it's definitely written as more of an epic. But Christian, our hero, he is kind of a rake. He's a genius, but he's a duke and he's a rake, and he gets called out to a duel in the beginning of this book, and he has a stroke, or what we assume is a stroke. Like, of course it's not called that in it, but all of the signs of it are there in how this story is told. And again, like, the audiobook does this. The performer is, the narrator is amazing, because even like Christian's brain is scrambled and they think he's dead, and they literally have him laid out and ready for the undertaker, but his dogs won't let them take him, and then he moves and they realize he's alive, but he can't speak properly. His words are being mixed up and he can't move all the way. And so they put him in an insane asylum where he meets our heroine, who he actually already knew, but he meets her again, and she's able to, he's able to use math still, which is how she knows him. It's a whole thing, whatever. And he starts to see her as his angel, because she consistently comes to visit him and is willing to try to communicate with him. And through events that happen, this eventually leads to kind of a marriage of convenience / like forced marriage between the two of them, because it just has to happen, or we're gonna like lose our hero. Like, they're gonna say that he's crazy and take everything that he is. And watching him fight his way back, watching him find new ways to communicate, and watching him change and realize what's really important, I just felt for him so much, and there was so much about him that I just found to be worthy of esteem. I know that's a weird thing to say when we're talking about book boyfriends, but he had such passionate feelings for our heroine. And I gotta tell you, again, this is why, like, this was a tough, like, it was tough for me to decide whether I wanted him on this list or not, just because most of the books that I picked this from, well, all of them, they all are 5-star reads for me if I'm picking my hero from them. But for me, this hero was a 5 or 6-star hero, but his heroine was a 1-star heroine for me. I know that's not actually it. I'm still ragey about it, okay? And you all know that I rate off of my rage, okay? And I despise Maddie Girl, okay? I don't care. I don't care what her reasoning is. I don't care what her Quaker reasonings were, whatever. Like, just the way that she made, first she's the one who's helping him and like helping him along, and then she becomes the one who like won't believe in him and just can't believe that he has like any good intentions at all because he has wealth. Like, I don't know, it was so frustrating. But anyway, this is a happy video. For me, Christian is a 5 or 6-star hero. And also there are plenty of people that Flowers from the Storm is a 5-star book for them. So I'm still recommending this book with you knowing that I don't like the heroine and that it made the rating a 3.5 for me. But for you, it could absolutely be a 5-star read, and I still recommend it because Christian is amazing. And this author, having written like a stroke, like I've had loved ones who had a stroke, and there was so much about what was happening to Christian that I could relate to. One of my uncles, he would get like so frustrated and like slam his fist when he couldn't speak correctly after a stroke. And again, like this I think is set in like the late 1700s, I think, because we still have like, or maybe it is the early 1800s, because we have, is it the Prince Regent or did we have the King? I can't remember who was happening, but how would they have known? Like, they didn't know what stroke was or what it was called. They just know that he was awake and fine, and then all of a sudden he couldn't speak and couldn't move very well, and he was speaking gibberish, and he would be ragey. Like, to them, that was insanity. So it's fascinating. But anyway, Christian is a book boyfriend. Okay? All right, now we're going to round it off with one who is a little controversial. And I was tempted. I was like, is he anti-book boyfriend or is he book boyfriend? Like, couldn't decide. But this one, he is fully a criminal. But he also has, like, the dukedom in his blood. And that's going to be Dante from When Villains Rise by Giana Darling. Or the duet, the anti-hero duet. Which I guess I actually have that one right here. Boom. But yeah, so the reason why like he fits it for me is he's so charming and he's so warm and loving, and like his physical touch, and he's just unlike any other capo, any other mafia don that I've ever read before. And there's so many things about him that I legit feel like you could be in a relationship with him and totally know what he did, but just love him so much that you're just like, oh yeah, he's got his mafia going on, it's fine. And like, I don't know, I could just see my mom being like, you got yourself a good one, honey. My mom doesn't talk like that, but you know, anyway, that's how I feel. But there's so much about Dante that I love. He is such a supportive, uplifting partner. He's a little bit kinky too. He's a little bit dirty, which of course I love. But when I was looking around, I was like, I feel like he fits on the boyfriend list rather than the anti-boyfriend list, because he's such a family man. I mean, he's not afraid to like cut someone's dick off if he needs to, but he also has such like a patience for children, and he's so loving, and he just made it on the book boyfriend list. And I was like, you know what? Dante's going on there. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this very crazy book boyfriend update. As I said, my brain's been a bit weird. I haven't filmed in a few days, and this is what we're getting. And I love you all. Thank you for everyone who's been supportive. The upcoming weekly wrap-up will be a day late or go up late because I'm going to be traveling. But then, hopefully in the next week, we're going to get back on track. And most of y'all are probably like, you missed a day, Jen. Big deal. Well, it's a big deal to me, okay? Because you guys count on me to be bringing you the goods. So gotta do it, okay? All right, that's enough. I need to eat my dinner now, and the light is slowly going. I just ordered a new ring light, which will hopefully be here soon, and so I won't have to like rush home to film a video before the light sets on me. But anyway, okay, I love you all so much. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe for this crazy show we have, and I'll see you in the next one.